Hello, and welcome to Beyond the Lights. It's October 16th, 2017, and I'm your host, Chris Sitek. Let's begin with a Between the Bags postseason weekend recap. Last Thursday evening, the Chicago Cubs secured an ALCS berth, outlasting the Washington Nationals in Washington 9-8. Friday afternoon, Houston blanked the New York Yankees 2-1 behind ace pitcher Dallas Keuchel's stellar performance, striking out 10 in 7 innings pitched, Astros taking a 1-0 series lead. Saturday afternoon, Jose Altuve and the Houston Astros walked it off, winning 2-1 off a clutch hit from shortstop Carlos Correa. Ace pitcher Justin Verlander also went the distance, pitching a complete game, Houston taking a 2-0 ALCS series lead. Saturday evening, star outfielder Yasiel Puig and the LA Dodgers beat the Chicago Cubs 5-2 in Hollywood, taking a 1-0 NLCS lead. Sunday evening, third baseman Justin Turner belted a 3-run moonshot off John Lackey to walk it off in LA as the Dodgers edged the Chicago Cubs 4-1 to take a 2-0 NLCS lead. So fast forward to tonight, the Astros are making the trip up to the Bronx to face CC Sabathia and the Yankees. And this week, here are my big 3 things I'm watching for the remainder of the Astros-Yankees series. 1. Will the Bronx Bombers return along with the team? The Yankees have scored just 2 runs through 2 games. Now granted, this was against 2 ace pitchers in Keuchel and Verlander, but facing the likes of Charlie Morton in Game 3 and possibly Lance McCullers Jr. in Game 4, New York will need Aaron Judge, Didi Gregorius, Gary Sanchez, and company to get hits. Runs and homers for this series to even be one is what the Pinstripes need, and the World Series chances are dependent on such. 2. Houston has a problem. For pitchers, the combination of Jose Automatic Tuve and Carlos Correa has been dynamic, carving out hits, runs, and homers on every pitcher in the postseason. But the dynamic duo will be tested in the Bronx as veteran CC Sabathia and pitching stud Sonny Gray get the next 2 starts. Walk Altuve and pitch Correa, pitch Altuve and walk Correa, or pitch both. I'm very excited to see this chess match within the lines. I expect the Yankees and manager Joe Girardi to make the necessary changes to give his ball club a very viable chance. 3. Seasoned veterans, anyone? The lack of veteran contribution hitting-wise has been evident as neither Carlos Beltran or Brian McCann of the Astros or Brett Gardner or Chase Headley of the Yankees have made any sizable contributions. If baseball history tells anything for teams with veterans, they need their veterans to make the right plays at the right time if either of these teams wants a World Series berth. Bottom line, the Astros pitching depth and untested bullpen will be tested in the Bronx, but expect the other guys, players like George Springer, Alex Bregman, and a veteran like Carlos Beltran, to play their way to a World Series berth for the Houston Astros. Meanwhile, Los Angeles will be traveling to historic Wrigley Field to play the Chicago Cubs. Pitcher Yu Darvish faces off against right-hander Kyle Hendricks Tuesday night, and Alex Wood faces off against Jake Arrieta in Game 4. Here are my big 3 things I'm watching for the remainder of this series. 1. Oh, Brizzo, where are you? The combination of Chris Bryant and Anthony Rizzo has been non-existent against Dodgers pitching, particularly Chris Bryant. The former MVP was a postseason legend just a season ago. This postseason, not so much. 2 RBIs in the last 7 games and hitting under 200. Bryant has to play up to his potential in order to start a fire in this hitting lineup. Other players that I'm looking at are Wilson Contreras and Javier Baez. Javier Baez has championship experience and Contreras has untouchable power at the plate. Chicago must flex their hitting muscles to extend this series longer than just 4 games. 2. Will Joe Madden pull the right strings? The Cubs skipper has been known for many of things, one of which has been pulling the right strings in the postseason. An example, putting the right reliever in at the right time, the correct pinch hitter, reviewing the correct play, and so on. This postseason has been anything but, particularly pulling out starters and pulling in relievers such as Carl Edwards Jr., Pedro Stoop, and Mike Montgomery, only to surrender unwarranted runs, leads, and quite honestly, some wins. Madden has to utilize his relievers, starters, and role players seamlessly for this Cubs team to be World Series bound. 3. Will the Cubs bullpen come out of hibernation? Chicago has 6 earned runs since going to their bullpen against their Dodgers through 2 games. Edwards Jr., Stopp, Montgomery, and company have to shut the door at home or the door will shut on them. Bottom line, given the inconsistencies of their bullpen and early hibernation for Brizzo, I am giving the slight edge to the Dodgers. Yasiel Puig and Justin Turner are 2 incredible hitters, and their 2017 postseason has been unforgettable. Book LA in the 2017 World Series facing off against MVP in my book, Jose Altuve, and the white-hot Houston Astros. Let's talk football. NFL Week 6 had upsets, injuries, and arguably the worst missed call in the 2017 NFL season. This is 28 teams in 120 seconds. We'll start off in Charlotte as the Panthers took on the Eagles in a Thursday Night Football battle of 4-1s. Spoiler alert, Carson Wentz is really, really good. The Eagles quarterback torched the Panthers defense for 222 yards and 3 touchdowns as the Eagles held on for the 28-23 win. Moving forward to Sunday, the Patriots were in the Meadowlands playing the New York Jets, and New England delivered. Rob Gronkowski hauled in 2 touchdowns off 83 yards receiving, and the refs missed a would-be game-tying touchdown from Josh McCown to Austin Seferian-Jenkins. Pats won a nail-biter over the Jets 24-17. Speaking of rivalries, Aaron Rodgers and the Packers were in Minnesota taking on the Vikings, and in the first quarter, Rodgers took a big hit from linebacker Anthony Barr and had to be carted off the field. The former NFL MVP was carted off the field with a broken collarbone, and the Vikings took full advantage as running back Jerick McKinnon totaled 100 yards and 2 scores in the 23-10 win. Moving over to Atlanta as the Falcons were coming off the bye week playing Jay Ajayi and the Miami Dolphins at home. After taking a commanding 17-0 lead, the Dolphins roared back, scoring 20 straight and winning the game 20-17. The Dolphins running back had over 100 yards rushing and a score. Up the East Coast we go as rookie quarterback Mitch Trubisky and the Bears were in Baltimore taking on Joe Flacco and the Ravens, and the Thunder and Lightning were rolling. Bears backs Jordan Howard, the Thunder, and Tariq Cohen, the Lightning, rushed for over 200 yards as the Bears edged the Ravens 27-24 in overtime. Another nail-biter was played in Washington as the Redskins hosted the San Francisco 49ers at FedEx Field, and the dynamic athlete Chris Thompson torched the 49ers defense for over 100 total yards as the Redskins held on 26-24. Heading down south to one of the wildest games so far in the Big Easy as the Saints played the Lions in New Orleans. Check this out. Detroit and New Orleans combined for 9 defensive/special teams touchdowns, over 700 total yards in the game, and a combined 20 penalties. Drew Brees and the Saints defense defended their home turf, winning 52-38. So it's week 6 and the Browns are still winless. This time Cleveland lost to Deshaun Watson and the Houston Texans as Watson torched the Browns for 3 touchdowns off 225 yards passing. In a battle of the retirement home that is the Arizona Cardinals versus Jameis Winston and the Tampa Bay Hard Knock Bucks, the Cardinals took the Bucks to school, winning 38-33 in a shootout. Recently acquired running back Adrian Peterson rushed for 134 yards and 2 touchdowns in the dub. Just as the Chargers found every way to lose close games recently, they finally are starting to win them. Coming off beating the Giants in the Meadowlands, Los Angeles pulled off another upset, beating the Oakland Raiders in Oakland 17-16. Chargers running back Melvin Gordon totaled 100 total yards in the score and the win. In the battle of the NFL's most elite running backs, Todd Gurley and the LA Rams flew home with a victory as Los Angeles defeated the Jacksonville Jaguars 24-17. Gurley rushed for over 100 yards and paired that with a block punt for a touchdown and a kick return for a touchdown, and that's a winning recipe. The Jaguars, despite the loss, have found a potential rookie of the year in Leonard Fournette, who rumbled for 130 yards and a touchdown. Sunday Night Football was in Mile High as the Denver Broncos took on the New York winless Giants, and winless no more as the Giants picked off the Broncos twice and rumbled for 100-plus yards against the number 2 rated run defense, winning 23-10. Now Monday Night Football is in Indianapolis as the Colts will take on division foe, the Tennessee Titans, at home. Now, Marcus Mariota, the quarterback for the Titans, is expected to be back from injury, and for the Titans, that's huge news. I expect that to be the big boost as the Titans edge the Colts in Nashville 21-10. The NBA season is back this week, and I couldn't be more excited. And it starts off on Tuesday with two primetime games. The Boston Celtics at the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Houston Rockets at the Golden State Warriors. Now, some major headlines from each of these games. We'll start with the Celtics Cavaliers. This is going to be Kyrie Irving returning back to his old team in the Cleveland Cavaliers. And this is an interesting matchup because the Cleveland Cavaliers just recently acquired Dwayne Wade. They are moving Kevin Love to the center position and having J.R. Smith come off the bench. So very interesting matchup. I'm going to take the Cavs in a close one. I'm going to take it by 5 there. Now, in terms of the headlines with the Rockets and Warriors, the Rockets recently got Chris Paul from the Los Angeles Clippers, so that's a huge deal to form a dynamic duo with Chris Paul and James Harden in that backcourt, which is going to be dynamic versus the Warriors, who were already loaded with the likes of Kevin Durant, Draymond Green, Steph Curry, and Klay Thompson. They now added a deeper bench, though, adding guys like Omir Caspi as well as Nick Young. So I'm going to take the Golden State Warriors. The line is about 9.5, and I'm going to take it by about 12. I think their bench is just deeper, and they're going to get a lot of contributions from their bench, particularly in this game. So those are my two predictions for those two games. Lastly, we'll finish with our weekly high school power rankings. Starting with Kansas, coming in at number 1 is the Bishop Miege Stags at 7-0. Next is Lawrence Free State Firebirds at 7-0. Coming up at number 3 is the St. Thomas Aquinas Saints at 6-1. Coming in at number 4 is the Goddard Lions at 7-0. And rounding out the top 5 is the Lancers of Shawnee Mission East at 6-1. Next in Missouri, coming in at number 1 is the Vianney Golden Griffins at 8-1. Next is the Eureka Wildcats at 9-0. Coming up at number 3 is the Christian Brother Cadets at 8-1. Number 4 is the Staley Falcons at 9-0. And rounding out the top 5 is the Wildcats of Blue Springs at 7-2. All these stats according to maxpreps.com. Well, I want to thank you all for listening to Beyond the Lights. It's been an absolute pleasure, and hope you all enjoy the rest of your day. Tune in next Monday, October the 23rd, for the next episode of Beyond the Lights.